Hello, welcome to Nocti by colleague J.N.S. And this video is going to be about Sun-Ra equations of whiteness and blackness in the beast and the human. So, Sun-Ra offers this abstract, brilliant breakdown of the etymology of human beings, and in particular the word human. And I want to pay close attention to the riddle he used. As we know, words are extremely powerful, as well as their definition. So you're going to have to follow his abstractness and his line of thoughts. And this video is from a lecture that was given at the University of Berkeley in California in 1969. So Sun-Ra was a lecturer who had taught at UC Berkeley. I want to say, I think it was about 1 or 2 years, I'm not sure, but his lectures range from esoteric topics. He talked about like the Emerald Tablets and Egyptian mythology, as well as political issues dealing with identity and race. So as abstract as this video is, I agree on his stance when he talks about the relationship between black and white people. And he really gets into it around the 4-minute mark. So you're going to have to pay attention at that part. So check it out, and I'll be back with further commentary after the video plays.
We were still arguing with one another. The woman told me, but you said you wanted to be treated like a human being. And I said, well, I didn't mean that. I want to be treated like what I am. I'm not a human being anyway. So don't treat me like them. The next thing, about 2 hours later, I was on Pan Am going to Europe. So you see, something is watching everything you say, even down to a tiny detail where I said, treat me like a human being. So see, I've learned from personal experience that whatever you say you are, that's what you get. Now, if you say you're a man, now what's the difference between a man and a human being? You see, you have to watch that. Somebody added this hue on there. Do you know what hue means? No, you don't. You don't know what it means. Now, you have to go all the way back to ancient Egypt and see they had a god called Hue. I'm not even going to tell you. You look it up and bring it back to class next Monday. Tell me what the Egyptians meant by hue. Now, of course, you can go into phonetics and you can say hue, which means color, and they be talking about a colored man. That'll be a hued man. But see, now, hued can be spelled like this. That means to cut something down. You got hued, cut down. So, see, watch that. It's bad for you because it was bad for me. And I know what's bad for me is bad for you. Now, man again. See, I expressed that in England. I wrote, said, well, I'm a different order of being. I'm not man. Now, the point of it is, what does man mean? According to the good book, it says, man is filthy and abominable. Well, I suppose that's where you spell abominable. No, yeah. Anyway, might be an A over that. But man is filthy and abominable. Now, who wants to be that? But you go out in the street, you hear them talking filthy language. You keep on, you see them. They be abominable and filthy. And you even talk about the abominable snowman. You see? You got that. But this book said man is abominable. So it's all out there on you everywhere. What else is said about man? Man is like the beast. That perishes. Now you got these equations on you. So now, in another place it's saying, man is made in the image of God. What does that make God? The beast, of course. So now you go and you write a book and say you made in the image of God, and got in the same book, man is like the beast that perishes. That makes God a beast. You know, if I was God, I wouldn't like that. You would have insulted me to call me a beast. Now, here you got a case where they say Christ, they're worshiping Christ as God. Now you can get a book called Oaspi. And it's got in there, the beast said, think not that I came to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. And he's talking about Christ. That's who said it. And who's Christ? He's supposed to be the Son of God. And there you are. Now, your equations have messed you up. You can't say you man. If you do, you're filthy and abominable. And you can't say you man, because if you do, you like the beast that perishes. Now, some folks say the white man is the beast. And you see more and more black folks want to be like him. And every time they jump up there and want to be like him, he kills them. See? Man's like the beast that perishes. So it's an equation. It's working. Now, I don't think the white people are doing things to black folks on their own. They're supervised. Now, you take over in James Baldwin's book called The Fire Next Time, he tells you that. He said that behind them is one who's nameless and infinitely harder to please. He said behind the white race is one who's nameless. Something else he said about it, too, about a lot of power. Now, no black people went to James Baldwin and asked, because he's in Paris now, what do you mean by that? So you see, black people don't ask questions. Here's a man telling them behind the white race is someone who's nameless, full of power, and bottomlessly hard to please. Don't care what you do for him, he ain't pleased with you. And no black person will go to James Baldwin and say, well, who do you mean? They haven't done that. So here you got a race that even if somebody comes in and tell them the truth, they still don't investigate it. They just go right on talking about freedom, and they go right on talking about peace, and they go right on going to jail, and they go right on dying. Now you see, not even the animals in the forest would do anything like that. If they saw the rest of their friends going down like they're on a pathway, and all of them get cut off like that, even ants, you keep on doing like that, and find the other ant's going to go the other way. Now how come black people can't do that? You see? Even the ants will do that. Everything follows the first law of nature, but black folks, they refuse to follow the first law of nature, which is self-preservation. So they keep on running and say, well, he didn't make it. I know I'm going to make it. And he said, chop, 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 chop. See? So now, speaking of equality, the white race, they got certain way they have to go, certain things they have to do. They're on a different vibration. I don't care what they tell you about integration, they like you. You let a white woman sit out in the sun in Philadelphia and got burned to death. So, and she liked the sun. You take white people like the sun in New York, even in the winter when the sun comes, they run out and sit in the park. They like the sun. But you see, the part about it, like, sun don't like them. Keeps on burning them. And they sit out there and they get burned. Now you see, there's something wrong between white people and the sun. They cannot get over to any state of equality with black folks as long as they can sit out in the sun and don't get burned. Because the sun is a life giver. It's making a difference between black folks and white folks. Of course, I saw a black woman in the drugstore getting her some suntan in New York. So she wanted to sit out in the sun so she could get tanned. And she was already black. But I don't think she knew it because a lot of black people don't know they're black. They'd rather be anything but what they are. And they know that these other nations going to be, like I read about a black woman, she married an African man, and she went to Africa, and she told the truth. She'd been in Africa almost 4 years, and she said she's still not African. The African women be helping her, trying to teach her their ways and everything, and she almost ready to give up. She do everything what they tell her. They still haven't recognized her as an African woman yet. They still say she's Western-minded. Now, that's very difficult then for a black woman to go over there and be black. So the whole thing is, the reason I'm saying it's so difficult. I'd rather for black folks to go to Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. It's easier than you going to Africa and trying to be an African, because they got a thing too, where they got, like an African told me, that black folks come over there and they be making fun of their culture. They go over there, some of those tribes are very simple, and they get out and they be doing that native dance.
So as you can see, this lecture was given in 1969, and it's quite still relevant today. And to be honest, Sun Ra had became very disillusioned and bitter at the black race because they didn't really listen to none of his prophecies or equations. And he was quite a strange character himself. You know, he had this philosophy of Afro cosmic galactic alignment, where, you know, he felt he was from Saturn and that he was a prophet from Saturn to give humanity a message about universal language of music, as well as to tell black people of who they were. So at that time in 1969, there wasn't really anyone like Sun Ra, you know, and there really still isn't. So, you know, people, they mimic him and stuff, but I mean, he was a really deep guy. He doesn't get a lot of credit for how in depth he is, and as we know, his body of work is tremendous. He has composed over 1,000 songs, you know. So very deep guy, very much respected in the music world, of course. But I think that his teachings don't get as much credit as they should. So he was telling us in 1969, telling black people to stop being so obsessed and subconsciously seeking their approval, validation, acceptance via the civil rights integration movement. You know, and this was again in the 1960s. And here we are in 2020, I argue, still dealing with the same thing. And some scholars and activists have even made solid arguments for how the black community is actually worse off today than it was during the time of when we had a more structured economic foothold in terms of our own businesses and even schools. So that's certainly not the point of this video, but please pay attention to the 4-minute mark, and in particular, to be honest, it took me about I want to say 4 times to finally get it. So it may go over your head. Hopefully it doesn't. Maybe you're one of the people that will pick up, like, boom, like you get it and you know everything. He talked in a lot of codes, like when he was breaking down a lot of the definitions in the Bible of what some of those Bible verses, and breaking down the actual etymology of the words, and, you know, relating it to James Baldwin in history. I honestly didn't get it the first time I watched that video was when I was 23 years old. So that was 5 years ago. I know I didn't get what the hell he was talking about. I know some of it sound coherent, obviously. Like I picked up on it. I knew it was deep. So I saved it. You know, I clicked it away and saved it into like one of those favorite bookmarks or whatever. And I came back to it again and listened to it again when I think I was about 25. Still, I got it a little more, but it still didn't hit me. And honestly, the depth of it did not hit me until a month ago. Like, I just happened to click on it again and wanted to listen to his lectures, and that's when it did hit me as far as the totality of what he was trying to get us to see, as far as the science behind why we haven't gotten along, because there's a science. I always knew it was a science behind it, you know, but a lot of us, I think we underestimate how much that may play a role into it, because we have this thing called the selfish gene, where the gene, through its evolutionary biology, has this predisposition to do anything to survive if the genes are recessive, or if the genes cannot be expressed in a certain way. I think his name was Richard Dawkins or something like that. He talked about like the selfish gene or something like that. And I had read that some years ago. I think I was like 21, so I can't remember anything about it. It was just something I read in passing. He's a evolutionary biologist. So when it finally clicked on me what Sun Ra was talking about as far as that distinguishment between our relationship to the sun. So then you're dealing with not only the evolutionary biology of it, but then the actual physics and the astronomy of our relationships with one another as human beings, as far as the black race and the white race. So to me, I think people underestimate the depth of it. To be honest, I think that people think he's just some quack talking about esoteric topics and whatever, and I think they leave it at that. But I personally think the man was quite a genius. And as you can see, I did a documentary on Sun Ra, like a whole biography of his life, or hagiography is what I called it, because I really do admire him. And that is on this channel as well. I will link the video in the description, as well as in the end screen. So I am rehatching Sun Ra's streams of consciousness, so you can hopefully get it the first time, unlike myself. And let's see if we can learn from him this time around. 1969, nobody was listening to him. He was on his deathbed in 1992, I want to say, and no one was still really listening to him. He was very disillusioned. You could feel in his energy how pissed he was, because humans, they don't want to listen, and he would say that too. He would like, I don't know what's wrong with these people. So let's see if we listen. And I'm going to give you guys 2 songs to go and listen to on your spare time that Sun Ra made. And I want you to pay attention to the lyrics in this song. And I want you to just, quite frankly, I want you to just meditate to it. Not meditate, but just relax and listen to it. So the first song that I want you to go listen to is called Sleeping Beauty. So it's by Sun Ra, and he talks about I want to speak of black beauty. The song is called Sleeping Beauty, but he talks in such a deep riddle, nothing that can't be figured out. So when he's talking about, when they're singing, I want to speak of black beauty to you. I want to speak of black beauty to you. Sleeping beauty, sleeping. So he's talking about how the genius and talent of black beauty, of melanated people, is in a sleeping stage, in a slumber. So he's acknowledging the black beauty, but he's saying it's sleeping in the figurative sense. So the squandering of genius and talent through this sleeping dark age, REM stage. And another lyric I want you to pay attention to is when he says, without Prince Charming, there is nothing black beauty can do. So as we all know, in the Sleeping Beauty movie, when Prince Charming kissed her, what happened? She woke up. So what do you think that means? It means without waking up, there's nothing you cannot do. You can't do a damn thing to self-actualize and realize your full potential unless you wake up, unless you have that Prince Charming. And I argue Prince Charming is a figurative consciousness, a Christ consciousness, a morning star consciousness. I don't quite know what is he referring to as the Prince Charming figure in itself. Obviously, it's clear as day that he means wake up. We all know in the story of Sleeping Beauty, she was not able to revive from her poisonous state of sleep, her deep sleep, from being poisoned by that apple that was given to her. So you guys have to pay attention to how deep that song is, and I know you guys can interpret it way more thorough than I can, especially because for all we know, all of the riddles throughout that whole story could apply to this song in terms of what kind of energy or consciousness gave that poison for Sleeping Beauty to sleep. Because remember, it's black Sleeping Beauty. I want to speak of black beauty to you, Sleeping Beauty. So while he's saying that, he's talking about how clearly you've been poisoned. Clearly you have eaten some sort of forbidden fruit there, and you went to sleep. And you're still sleeping. And this beauty state, but nonetheless still sleep. So when you wake up, the only way you will wake up is the only way you'll be able to do anything. And he says that without Prince Charming, there is nothing Black Beauty can do. So without waking up, there is nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to self-actualize. That is very, very important. So listen to that song, marinate on it, and then take it into totality with the lecture that I just showed you. Because this man was very deep in his spirit, believe it or not. The Saturn energy is here, and he's an ancestor, and his energy is here. Certainly flows through me. That's just why I made a whole documentary about him and continue to shed light on his lectures, even though they were given way before I was even born. Like I was, I mean, in 1969. I mean, come on, I wasn't even thought of until like damn near 30 years later. So, you know, it's resonating still. It resonates with me. And another song that I want you to listen to, whoever isn't within the sound of my voice, please go listen to this song called "There Are Other Worlds They Have Not Told You Of." Now, this song is very deep and is not for the light-hearted, because it has a very much Egyptian vibe. Like when the song starts playing, people said it sound dark to them or somber. To me, all I think of is the precision and discipline energy, because he was very big on discipline and precision, because he said that is one of the components that helped build the civilization of Egypt. So that vibration, like when you ever listen to 33 hertz, which is the hertz of the pyramids or the king chambers, to me, it put me in the same mode of that vibration. If you ever listen to 33 hertz. Now, I would say it is a little more stern though than 33 hertz. It is a lot. His understanding of music intervals was genius. Some even argue higher than Thelonious Monk, and anybody that's a musician know that Thelonious Monk is extremely hard to replicate his intervals and to play his music. Sun Ra's understanding, according from other musicians, not what I'm saying, but from what other musicians who play with him, including like your Stevie Wonders, your John Coltrane's, some of your favorite artists had said that the man was literally a alien when it came to to music and understanding intervals. And to me, I never really got that until I listened to this song, as far as the vibratory elements that he mixed with just making good jazz music. So there's nothing esoteric about the lyrics in this song, but the intervals and energy is one I would just like for you to experience, if you don't mind. It's all it is. And again, I personally think of big ass Egyptian pyramids getting built. So like 33 hertz, I don't get the sense of the pyramids being built in real time. Like I get the energy of the pyramids already built and already the electric magnet that it is, like already in existence as far as its alignment with the constellations. Like that's the energy that you get from 33 hertz. But I would say from this one, I get the energy that it takes to actually get those big ass, I think there were 22-ton stones a piece. I did the math when I can't remember this stuff. I was so long ago when I was like studying these pyramids, but I was just like in the days, and as I was listening to it, I just kept seeing the building of it, So it was a different energy, but it was quite similar. So I know it may sound so abstract, like what is she talking about? But just relax, roll you up something, get you a nice glass of wine, get the Moldavite incense, get you some Egyptian jasmine incense, to get you something real nice, and get your stone, get you a black tourmaline stone or a Moldavite stone. I don't know, a labradorite stone. Get you something and just rock out to Sun Ra for a little bit. Listen to the lecture again, and just listen to some nice music. Other stuff I would recommend of his is Springtime Again, This Is How I Feel, Nuclear War, That one's a pretty comical song. Very deep song, but pretty comical. Door of the Cosmos. That's one of my favorites. I love Door of the Cosmos. And he had some pretty cool stuff, man. His body of work, again, he has 1,000 songs out there, so you'll be listening to music forever. And let's keep our ancestors' memory alive. He's one of many that we should remember, and one of many that we have let fall through the wayside as far as applying their teachings. I think we would have been a lot farther as a people had we listened to him, had we listened to many of the teachers of the past. John Henry Clark, if we would have listened to Claude Anderson, Francis Cress Welsing, had we listened to many black women, we would have been a lot farther along as a people. But we have to do that work now. So black women, like I said, get all your materials ready that you're gonna need for your relaxation, whether you're gonna get in a bubble bath or something, and play some Sun Ra, and then let's keep our ancestors' memory alive. So check that out, and I'm gonna talk to y'all later, and let's continue to love ourselves and grow in consciousness. Bye.